the bit where the presenter, the host, tells you why they're fucking amazing and that you should listen to every word that they say. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get into teaching timeline therapy today. And maybe a little bit later on, if we've got time, after I deliver that content to you, I'll tell you a little bit about me. Is that okay with you? Show of hands if that's okay, if you just want to get into that stuff. I do use colourful language, guys. If you're offended by it, there's the door right there. It's my style, and it's how I work. Who here is a practicing hypnotist or change worker? So most people. Who does this as their only job or full-time? This lady in the front row here is staring daggers at me. Are you okay? Yeah, she's scaring me, my goodness. You know, in Las Vegas, where I often talk, they have people, she's smiling, thank you so much, I work in smiles and feedback. In Las Vegas, who goes to Las Vegas? They have people called coolers over there, that if you're on a roll at the craps table, they will come and they will have a very negative energy. They won't say a word, they won't touch you, but they'll just stand next to you as you're on a roll until you're not on a roll anymore. They have a whole career over it. Coolers. So, NLP hypnosis. Who here has some anger they want to get rid of? Liars. 2 people? 3 people? Who here has some kind of sadness they want to get rid of? Alright. Who here has some kind of fear or panic they want to get rid of? Yeah, alright. Who here has some guilt that they want to get rid of? Cool, so hypnosis and timeline therapy is amazing for doing that. The modality I'm going to teach you today is timeline therapy. That chair there is a magical chair, because later on today, I want to come off this stage onto that very ground, and I'm looking for victims, participants, who want to get rid of all of their anger, their sadness, their fear, and their guilt. It's part of the learning process here today, so everybody can learn. Please understand that when I'm working with someone in that very chair later on, my attention, my time, my effort, my duty of care is to that person. So if you want to participate in it yourself, as I'm working with that person, feel free, but understand that my duty of care is to whoever's in that chair. So, why is timeline therapy really effective? Well, about 20 years ago, thereabouts, when I first got involved in hypnosis and NLP, it was 1999 to be exact, I was 19 and I enrolled on this NLP training, practitioner training, 7 days. 4 of those days were learning NLP. 2 of those days were learning hypnosis. And on the last day, there was a modality called timeline therapy. To be honest, I never heard about it. I thought it was a crock of shit. I'm like, well, I know NLP, I know hypnosis. What's this timeline therapy? What's this all about? And I learned it. And I went on to become a trainer of timeline therapy. And that one day that I learned probably became the most valuable thing that I learned in change work with people. So not even doing the course for timeline therapy, I learned so much and found it was such a powerful way to clear lifelong negative emotions, limited decisions, which you're going to learn a little bit about today. It's very fast. Why is it good? It's very fast, it's very rapid. You can do timeline therapy on yourself as well to become very effective in doing this. And timeline therapy is typically the last tool that I'll use with people because it's like a loving sledgehammer. It pretty much works most of the time for most issues, but it's my go-to tool as the knockout punch, so to speak. Yeah, I use a lot of colourful and violent metaphors as well. It's how I work. I love, you guys are all quiet here. Can you hear me okay? You look all fucking serious here. So put a smile on your face. That's right. So what I'd like for you to do now, guys, is who does some form of tapping here? Hold up their arms or hands. Cool. Even if you haven't. What I'd like for you to do is get your left hand, this one here that I'm waving around, flip it like this. And what I want you to do is grab 2 fingers on your other hand like this. And what I want you to do is I want you to tap a point called the gamma spot. It's between your first little knuckle and your ring finger knuckle. And what I want you to do is just tap this spot here. It's just something that I learned from TFT, and I know Mike Mandel uses it a lot. And it's really, just hit that spot there. That's all right, I can hear you. It's like you're allowed to talk. And what happens when you hit this spot there, between the little finger and the ring finger? And there's a gamut spot right there. And what it does is, if you keep hitting it, take a nice big deep breath. It can help to wake people up. Because I know you've been here, you've had a long weekend, you've had lots of talks, you're a bit sleepy. It's the last talk. This is the death slot I've got right now. They've given me the death slot, and I have to resurrect you people. But it is Sunday, and I do plan on resurrecting you. Put that hand down, take a big deep tummy breath into your belly button. Big deep breath in. Hold your breath. And take twice as long to breathe out. That's right, grounding you in this very room, right here. So, timeline therapy. I'm going to come down and explain a little bit about what timeline therapy is. Who's done timeline therapy here before? Oh, cool. Hardly anybody, just a couple of people. So timeline therapy originates from NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, but somewhere along the way, someone came along, and I won't mention his name so I'm not sued, came along and trademarked timeline therapy away from Richard Banner and John Grindler and turned it into a whole system. And there was a whole lot of legal ramifications. So I ain't teaching anything new today. Originally it comes from NLP. I am going to teach you some nuances that I've picked up using this for 22 years, if that's all right. So I'm going to elegantly put this microphone down. I'm going to descend off this stage, and I'm going to meet you right there in just a moment. Who here can see this beautiful illustration? It's amazing, huh? It took me 6 hours to draw that up there. I know, I'm special. But when you can see right there, it's a line, and on that line it has a P, that's for your past. It's got an F, that's for your future, not for that other thing that you were thinking of just a moment ago. Like you, I'm here all weekend. It says now above there, and what you will notice is there's various size circles on this very line right here, and you see that this is a very big circle right here. So timeline therapy is a way to get to the root cause of many problems, whether that be negative emotions, and the belief of me is everything you've got, we're all filled with negative emotions. The big four are anger, and anger can be for things, it can also encapsulate being rageful, being annoyed. These are all forms of anger, but anger is the master emotion. It can be, the next level to that is sadness that we're going to work on. And sadness goes by many different names. It can be depression, it can be feeling low, feeling beaten down. These are all forms of sadness. Next one after that is fear, goes by many different names. Anxiety, panic, all different forms of fear. And the last one is guilt. Guilt, does anyone know the difference between guilt and shame here? No one knows the difference between one person. Shit, okay, uh-oh. We have some sinners here. So it tends to be that guilt tends to be for things that we feel we've done to other people, wrongs that we feel we've done to other people. Shame tends to be when we feel that the world or someone else has violated us. So that's the difference. Oftentimes they're a little bit confused. So the process of timeline therapy is to clear out those negative emotions, because if you're at a table, most of you are at a table here, and most of these tables have 4 legs. In fact, this chair has 4 legs. If you imagine this is your presenting problem that you come to see me for, whether that be you have low self-esteem, you have some kind of an addiction in your life. If we go directly after the problem, we get rid of the symptoms. Perhaps you're using a drug or you're depressing yourself, but we're not going to the root. And really what timeline therapy does is it takes out the legs of that problem. So if you imagine on this leg here is the anger, this leg here is the fear, this leg here is the sadness, this leg here is the guilt. So when we kick out all the legs on that problem, what happens? Well, the problem just collapses in on itself. Then it's a lot more easier. We have a lot more maneuverability to deal with whatever that issue was, because we've weakened that solid structure. Timeline therapy can be used for any kind of negative emotion you want to get rid of, but also any limiting decisions. Does anyone know the difference between a limiting decision and a limiting belief? No one. Cool. So a limited decision, using the NLP terminology and Tad James, limited decision precedes a limited belief. So whether this is true or not, here's how I operate, old school timeline therapy works, is whether you believe in it or not, every negative belief we have about ourselves, such as, oh, I'm not good enough, I'll never be successful, this will never work, whatever it is, there was a preceding negative decision at some point to believe that. Probably not consciously, you weren't sitting around one day saying, I'm going to choose to think I'm not enough. I'm going to choose to think this isn't going to work. I'm not suggesting that most people consciously do that, but unconsciously there was a decision that was made, at least going by the old school timeline therapy. So when we go after the limiting decision, it knocks out the limiting belief as well, which is fundamentally that table, that problem's already been knocked down, and it's really about just delivering that final knockout punch to it. So, any questions about that so far? Beautiful. I can see a lot of you are studious and you write notes. You're free to write notes. However, I'm filming this today. So if you want to be in the moment, watch this, participate in it, I'll send you all a copy of this talk so you can watch it over and over again, find those minutiae points. Don't worry if you miss anything today. At the end, I'll send over a sheet. You just put your name and email address and I'll send you this talk. Is that okay with you guys? Good. Lovely. Alright, so, timeline therapy. This is your timeline. There's different forms of timeline. The way that we situate time is a little bit different, but tends to fall into one or two categories, unless you're really weird like me. The first category is you're in time. And in time fundamentally means your timeline, your future is generally in front of you. How you process time. Your past is behind you, and the now is right here. Some characteristics of people that live in time is they just get to things right on the money. So they're almost late to things. They're always living in the moment. They're there. They don't really do a lot of planning. They're very reactionary. That's kind of some of the characteristics of somebody who's in time. They'll just make that meeting, or they might be a few minutes late. Probably about 30 to 40% of people I meet are in time. Their timeline's like this. Or, if they're like me, we have people that are through time. And through time, your timeline's a bit like this. Whereas your past will be to your left, and your future will be to your right. And the present will be right now. Characteristics of these type of people tend to be they're a bit more planned, they're a bit more anal, they're a bit more stressed about things, and they always show up to things prepared. And they're probably over-prepared for it. Now you can get different forms of timelines where things are squiggly and up and down, but not to get too complicated, given this is an introduction, it tends to be in time, future forward, past back, or through time, past to your left, future to your right. Tend to be the biggest two that I seem to find. And that's useful to know. When they were put together neuro-linguistic programming, John Grinder and Richard Bannon, all the people they studied, what they realised was one thing. That if you've got enough distance and enough time between you and your problem, oftentimes that problem would self-regulate and sort itself out. Who here's heard the phrase, you know what, time heals all wounds? Who's heard that? Sometimes, a lot of times, it actually does. But what they realised was when you're given enough distance and enough time from that issue, real or imagined, that oftentimes those problems or challenges that we thought that we had self-regulate. So that's why timeline therapy is really, really effective to do, and a painless way of doing regression, if you will. So back to my beautiful illustration right here. If you're through time, past, future, now. And if you imagine a piece of string, and on this piece of string is various different pearls. These pearls represent different issues. So hypothetically, let's say we're going after someone who has a lot of anger. This is how you process anger. Here's your timeline, and these little circles right here, they represent different times in your past where you felt angry. This big circle right here is a time when you felt rageful, a really big time. You can remember when you were angry and a lot of shit happened. Technical word. That's the big circle. So oftentimes in many regression types of therapy, they'll go after that big one. Because that's why you're there. My mum didn't love me enough, my husband, my wife left me, my people fired me from work unfairly. So they'll go after that big issue. We'll regress you to that, and we'll help to eliminate that. But the thing is, That anger started somewhere else. That anger didn't start when you were 30 and your husband or wife left you or cheated on you. Or when you were 30 and you left your job. That seed to anger was probably planted between 0 and 5, way back here. So if you imagine in your own life, you've got an emotion, or just say anger for a moment. If you remember every time you were angry, and you were writing it down on a piece of paper, you probably wouldn't have enough pieces of paper to write down all the time you get angry, and you'd be in therapy for the next 5 years. Whereas in timeline therapy, we don't have to go to every single time you were angry. We go right to the beginning. Because when we go right to the beginning and change that, everything changes. And I've set up a beautiful apparatus now to demonstrate this elegantly. 1 minute. Can everyone hear me okay if I speak about the mic for a minute? So imagine this is your timeline right here. This is your problem. This is every time you've been angry, or every time you've been sad, or every time you've had fear, or every time you've had guilt. These balls represent every single time. Now we could go to every single time you've done it, but like I say, it's redundant because we could be here forever. You can go to counseling or psychotherapy for that. We could go to the big time when you know that's the time I got really angry, when this terrible event happened to me in my life. We could do that. Or we could go back to the beginning and literally pull the thread out of the timeline so all those pearls disappear and there's no more anger in your system. That's what we're doing in timeline. We're going to the threads and we're pulling out the thread, the pearls, much like the Stoke therapy, but a lot less painful. So all those pearls, all those installed memories drop. So you have all the memories, you have all the positive learnings which the problem gave to you, and there's always a problem with positive learning, but you never have to have that emotion anymore. And there's a great quote that says, if you can get the wisdom from a memory, you never have to re-experience it anymore, you can let it go. So you get all the positive learnings, even if the positive learnings is never date that person again, never take that type of job, never lend money to that person again. You get the positive learning, or you get a learning from it, but you never have to have that feeling. Does that make sense? That's why timeline therapy is really effective, and you can do it on yourself. So, anyone got some anger they want to get rid of, so I can demonstrate this shit right now and you can learn some really good stuff? This lady right here, would you be comfortable coming up? Yep. Lovely, give her a round of applause for being brave. Please be careful of my phantasm balls on the floor. Please take a seat. What's your name? I'm Luke, nice to meet you, Daniela. I am just going to step to your side from her. Who here loves Disney movies? Or who here has children that love Disney movies? Great. Anyone know what this is? This is anger. This is anger right here. So we're going to Daniela, right? We're going to go back into Pastor Daniela. And here's a good thing. You don't need to tell anyone in this room, or even me, what's going on. I'm going to take you through the process. It's going to be content free. We know we're accessing the file of anger. However, you don't have to divulge anything to anyone in the room. Does that make sense? So you get to be protected there. So we are going to eliminate anger. Now here's the thing. We can only eliminate anger from the past, because the future hasn't happened. Make sense? So the thing about that is sometimes I'd have clients and they'd come in for a breakthrough experience with me, and I'd get rid of all of their anger, all of their sadness, all of their fear, and all of their guilt or shame. That shit would be cleared. They feel amazing when they left. And then 3 or 4 days later, sometimes I'd get an email, and it'd be like, Luke, it didn't work. I felt anger today. So what I want you to imagine you're doing today is we're doing a garage sale on all of your anger. Getting rid of all the anger you're aware of. So we're going to all the cupboards in your house, and we're selling that shit off because you don't need that junk in your mind anymore. But we can only sell off and get rid of the stuff you're aware of. So sometimes what might happen is a few days later, someone might be in their house, or a house of their head, and they might find that there was a cupboard they forgot to open that has a thing called anger in it. Don't worry, when you learn how to do this today, you'll be able to do it to yourself forever. Make sense? So, Here's the thing, and I'm a big believer also in every emotion, whether it be anger, whether it be fear, whether it be sadness or guilt, it serves a reason. If I got rid of all of your anger, and God forbid you're in a situation where you needed to protect yourself or someone you love, it might be appropriate to have anger for that specific situation. Fair to say? So all these emotions have a good reason to have them, but you will feel anger in the future, but it will only be for specific measured situations. Does that make sense? So if you need to use it, it will be there for that specific situation. But when you don't need it, like stuff that happened 10, 20, 30 years ago, yesterday, you can just get rid of that shit. Is that cool? So if I ask you, Daniela, just go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. If I were to ask you where the future is to you, where might you point? Trust your unconscious mind. Beautiful, to your right, lovely. And if I were to ask you, Daniela, where the past might be to you, where might you point? Down. Alright, you've got an interesting timeline. You can open your eyes now. You're weird, that's alright, I like it. So there you go. It doesn't, it's alright, I'm weird too. It doesn't matter how they organise time, as long as Daniela knows the difference between the past to the future. That's all that we need. Very, very good. You're good at visualising. Close your eyes. What's the colour of your front door? You don't know? At home. What number is your apartment or house? Beautiful, lovely, open your eyes. So when you get people that say they don't visualise, everybody visualises. Some of us just do it a bit more well, that's all we need. And you can do this by sight in your mind, you can do it by feel. I do it for feel timeline, you can do it by sound. As long as you have an indication of where your past is, it really doesn't matter. Alright, lovely. So can I get you to go ahead and close your eyes? And I want you to think of something now that makes you feel fucking angry. Rageful, like you're going to kick some serious ass. Yeah, that one. And as you keep thinking about that now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is that anger now, as you think about it now? 1 million. Wow, okay. Is it absolutely okay if you get rid of that? So keep that feeling inside your body, because that feeling is going to help you to find that original event so we can release this once and for all. You're not scared of heights, are you? Okay, lovely. So what I want you to do, Danielle, is imagine, pretend, or make believe that you're flying in the air, all the way in the air. You're looking for your own eyes. And I want you to trust your unconscious mind to take you all the way back above your timeline, all the way back. In fact, in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When my count reaches 5, you'll be above your timeline, just above the event that first caused you to experience anger. Nod your head if you understand and accept. Just trust your unconscious mind. Use that feeling inside, keep it, because that feeling that you feel inside of anger now, when it's gone, it's going to blow your mind. Get ready now to float back in time. 1, all the way back in time. Trust your unconscious mind. 2, fly all the way back. 3, further and further. That's right. 4, 5, you're above the event, looking down the event, and you can talk at any time with the outside voice, but be here right now. Nod your head if you're above that event right now. Thank you. In a moment, not just yet, but in a moment, I'm going to have you step into that event, being in your own body, being in your own eyes. Nod your head if you understand and accept. Get ready and go into that memory now. Inside your body, you are safe, you are secure. And I want you now, as you're there, just go all the way to when you first experienced that anger, but pause it just before you get to that point. Nod your head when you're there. Thank you. Just pause it just before it happens. Thank you. And now what I want you to do is leave all that shit behind. Come out of your body, all the way up, back on your timeline now. So all the way up. So again, you leave that event down there, small, and you're above the event, looking down the event. Nod your head when you're above the event, looking down on the event. So you've left everything down there. Nod your head if that's true. Now, all the way up in the air, looking down on this event right now. In this position here, it's a position for you to learn. It's a position for you to understand. It's a place for you to preserve all positive learnings. The positive learnings of which will allow you to let go of this shit technical word once and for all. As you look down on that event now, is it fair to say you're a lot younger than you are right now? And do you see, whatever happened of that event, we don't need to know, you just need to be aware of it. Is it fair to say that whatever thinking that you had in that event, that was the thinking of a younger version of you? Perhaps even a child version, is that fair to say? And do you understand that perhaps a child will see things slightly differently and magnify things a little bit more? That in fact, if we put the brain you as a grown-ass woman now into that child's brain, however old that younger version of you was, that perhaps you may have felt a bit differently from it. Is that fair to say? So what I'm going to do now, stay in position 2, which is the above the event, looking down on the event, to get all the positive learnings, the learnings of which will allow you to never make the same mistake again and to let go. Just nod your head when you're ready and you've got your learning, consciously or unconsciously. Thank you. What I'd like for you to do now is the position. Position number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes I'll be talking to Daniela, sometimes I'll be speaking to you. But Daniela, you're safe in position 2, receiving those learnings right now. Position 2 is a position above the timeline. I will draw it on my beautiful illustration later, where you get all the positive learnings from the event. Now we're going to go to position 3, which is before the event, or anything that led to this event. So Daniela, in a moment I'll count from 1 to 3, I'll click my fingers, and you're going to go to position 3, which is at least 15 minutes before this event, or any event that led to this event, up in the air. Nod your head if you understand and accept. 1, 2, 3, be there now. At least 15 minutes before this event, or any event that led to this event. And you're facing towards now. You're up in the air, and you're far enough back. You're far enough back and you're high enough up and far enough back. Until that anger just disappears. Now. That's right. You can just let it go. More and more and more. You are safe. You are secure. Now that this anger's gone, you realise that on some level, it was your unconscious mind's way of protecting you, and it did its job well. But there's no need for you to carry that around anymore. You can be safe. You can be protected at all times. And you never need to experience inappropriate anger anymore that you've got this learning. If that's okay with you, let this go. Nod your head so I can see. Very, very good. Now what I want you to do, Daniela, is in a moment I'll count from 1 to 3, and you're going to go to position 2, which is above the event, looking down on the event. Get ready. 1, 2, 3. All the way up. So again, you're above the event, looking down the event. Are you in position 2 right now? Very good. In a moment, not just yet, in a moment I'll count from 1 to 3, and you're going to go back in the event. Everything will be as it was, how you thought it was. However, you won't be able to find that anger anymore. It will be gone. The learnings will be there, the understandings will be there, but that emotion will be gone. Nod your head if you understand and accept. Get ready to go into that event looking for your own eyes, safe and secure. 1, 2, 3. Be in that event now in your own eyes, in your own body, looking through your own eyes. What I ask you now, as you review that event and that memory now, where's the anger? Has it gone? Honestly. Very, very good. So what I want you to do now is come back to position 2, which is above the event, looking down on the event, all the way up. And what I want you to do now is now safely, securely flow all the way back to now. Only as quickly as you can allow your timeline to reevaluate, realign in such a way that supports your new decision, that supports your new way of being. Realigning everything between then and now. Take as much time as you need, but realize your unconscious mind does things fast. And when you come back to this moment, just nod your head and let me know. Thank you. Stay right now, here where you are. Now what I want to do in a moment is I want to go to the future, to two events that haven't happened, because they can't have happened, because it ain't the future, and it ain't happened. So in the moment, I'll count from 1 to 3, you're going to float to 3 different events in the future that had things like this happen in the past, would have caused you to make you feel that old way. But you're going to notice that you deal with it and feel differently about it. Nod your head if you understand and accept. Good. Now go to one event in the future, looking through your own eyes, something that in the past would cause you to feel the old way, and notice how you feel differently, honestly, about that. Do you have one? That's right. Did you smile? It's hard to see with all of her hair, but she's smiling right now. I have to use my calibration skills of getting right in there. She has a lot of hair. And as you see yourself right now, I don't need to know what it's about, but just tell me how it feels differently, honestly.
I feel strong.
You feel strong? You do feel strong, don't you? That's right. What I want you to do now is I want you to go out to another event in the future. That again, if something like this had happened in the past, would have caused you to make you feel that old way, but notice now how it feels differently. Be there now. Be there? Awesome. Be there now, looking through your own eyes, and tell me, how does that feel differently now?
I feel calm. I feel worthy. I feel I don't care.
You feel calm, that you don't care, and you feel well. Very, very good. And I want to go out to one more event in the future that had something like this happen in the past, would have caused you to feel the old way, but notice how this feels differently now. In that other event. And you're smiling. Tell me, how does that feel differently now?
I feel happy. I feel unburdened.
Feel happy and unburdened. And notice as you bring that happiness and unburdenedness and that worthiness all the way back to this very moment. Take all the time you need to do that now. And when you're back in this moment, in this room, feeling amazing, just allow your eyes to open, feeling amazing. And realise this round of applause is for you. Tissues in a minute. You're crying, I'm sweating. There you go, high five. High five. Honestly, how's that experience for you?
It was very, very powerful to me because I was feeling a lot of anger, and it was making me irritable with everybody around me. I feel sorry for anybody that has to deal with me, but it was kind of making me feel everything else because it was making me depressed because I knew I was wrong, and I knew it wasn't anybody else's problem, and I was feeling guilt, I was feeling depression, I was feeling so many things that it was because I was angry. And so everything, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like everything was a trigger, and now I don't feel...
Kind of weird, huh?
I don't feel like I'm like the worst parent, the worst person in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty quick as well, huh?
It is.
Cool. Thank you so much. Give her a round of applause. So, as my ring goes on the floor, thank you very much. I'll take questions about that a little bit later on. Alright, so basically what do we do? Here's the timeline right here. And we went all the way to an event. This is the event, so. This is position 1. Position 1 is in the event. Actually in it, looking through your own eyes. But perhaps a few moments before it happens. Because if someone was in a horrible accident or something terrible happened to them, you probably don't want to dump them right in the middle of that shit, right at that very moment. Hence you heard the language in which I said was just a few moments before it happened, just pause that so we can make sure that she's safe and she's guiding, because I'm not in the business of re-traumatising people. Unless they don't pay me on time, then I'll re-traumatise them. There you go, tough crowds. Alright, position 1. is actually in the event, looking through your own eyes, in your own body, experiencing it. That's really important. If you get a lot of analytical clients that want to make heads and tails, what's going on, what's this technique? Oftentimes working in a room full of hypnotists, we've got that mind on of, oh, what's he doing, rather than being in the experience. So what I ask you for today is just be in the experience today, because you're going to get the video of this and you can watch it as many times as you want, share it and give it thumbs up and like, but be in that experience, because I know when I come to trainings like this, I've got that analytical mind. What's he say? What do he do? What's that exact language pattern? And as I do that, it pulls me out of the moment of experiencing it. And I'm in the business of giving you experiences rather than just talking at you. So that's position one in the event. Position two is above the event, looking down on the event. This is where you take all the positive learnings, anything that was good about that. And you also realise that whatever that event was, it probably happened a long time ago. For most people, between 0, 5, 0 and 7 was the root cause. So let's say, I don't know how old Daniela is, let's say Daniela is 35, I don't know. If I'm giving you more years than you have, I'm very sorry, don't crucify me. Alright, but position two is you're looking down and there's a reframe going on. Do you understand that everything you felt, you did feel, but that was the feeling and that was the thinking of perhaps a youngster, of a child. And oftentimes child see things a lot bigger than they are, because things are. You're down here, everyone's up here like this. Everything seems bigger to you. However, if you got your brain of where you are now, and you put it into however young that person was, oftentimes that in and of itself will make people see, yeah, if I had the brain of a 39-year-old man in that 7-year-old's head, maybe it wouldn't have been such a big deal. Maybe it wouldn't have affected me nearly as much as it did. So that's a nice little reframe there. Obviously, you trust as my ring falls down on the ground again, old limiting decisions dropping away. But that position's there, whether it be conscious, that's right, or unconscious. It doesn't matter if they consciously get the learning or unconsciously get the learning, because we know that most things are unconscious anyways. That's position two. Position three is at least 15 minutes before the event, or any event that led to the event, making sure you're facing towards now, wherever your now is. So what that does is, guess what? You've gone before the event, or any event that led to the event ever happened, you've gone all the way back, you're turning towards now, you're high enough in the air, and you're far enough back. So before you first ever experienced anger, whether it be small or big, there was no anger. So if we take it back before they ever experienced anger, or the limitation, whatever it may be, and they're far enough up, and they're far enough back, it just disappears. Because here's the thing, guys, who here studies neuroscience and how the brain and memories work? Memory reconsideration. So here's the thing, we can't trust our memories. Our memories, we used to think up to about 10 or 20 years ago, that our memories, that our minds were a lot like that camcorder right there. That was literally filming everything that was going on, that we really saw, that our memories, how we saw things, actually literally what happened. And what we realised is not true. It's not true at all. They've done studies with victims of violent crime, where the violent crimes happened, they've given a police report immediately after. Then they've come back 5 years later to see the police, and they've recorded the event, what happened, and they had no reason to lie, these were the victims. And literally both stories were completely different. This is not on one or two people, this is not just on women or men or black people, white people, they did a big cross-section of everyone. And what they found is when they got the victims to read the old report, and what they just wrote, they almost couldn't believe it was the same report. Now, I'm not saying that certain things that happened to you didn't happen, I'm not saying that. Perhaps principles like it happened with this person, it happened in this country, it happened in this time period. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but a lot of those minutiae, a lot of those details are not actually what happened, or not how we record. Because the thing about memory reconsideration is this: every time we access a memory, we change it unconsciously. So you imagine you've had a memory 100 times, unconsciously you've changed it 100 times. You had it 1,000 times, you've unconsciously changed it 1,000 times, 10,000 times. You get where I'm going with this. So the memory that you have is not really what happened. It's a strong indicator of what happened. Perhaps a lot of the principal participants were the same, but it's not exactly what happened because our brain isn't like that camcorder there. So when we know that at best, that's why forensic hypnosis oftentimes is inadmissible in court, because we can't trust our memories, unfortunately. So knowing that, it reminds me of that great quote that says, it's never too young to have a happy childhood. So if we know we feel shitty because X, Y, and Z happened back then, and we'll have the memory of it, we know it's probably not exactly what happened. We've changed it somehow with NLP, we've generalized it, we've distorted it, we've deleted it unconsciously. It's not a judgment, it's just what we do inside our heads. So why not generalize, delete, distort it, so you get the learnings from it to never make those same kind of mistakes again. Position number 2. However, you can just let go of it. Because our memory is not what we thought it was. So when you realise that everything's just an illusion, much like the Matrix, as I indicate with my arm right now. It's half crowd now today, hypnofixie, my goodness. Then we can manipulate it, but we can manipulate it for good reasons. So, we're going to get rid of sadness with someone in a minute as well. Any questions on that so far? As I check my watch. No questions? Alright. Fair enough. Who wants to get rid of some sadness, depression, feeling like the weight of the world on their shoulder? Now's your opportunity. Who wants to get rid of it? Content free. Lovely. That lady in the back. Give her a round of applause. We're getting rid of this character right here. This is sadness. Come down. Come on down. What's your name again? Striyanka. I'm going to mispronounce your name and butcher it. I apologise right now. Alright? I'm Luke. Nice to meet you. Is it okay we get rid of some sadness for you?
Oh, definitely.
Is there any good reason you need to hold on to your sadness?
I might be separate from other people and to not shine.
So the good reason to hold on to your sadness is it makes you not shine?
No, sorry. Opposite. That I cannot get hurt.
That's why you want to hold on to it. Okay. If I said that there's a mechanism in your brain and body that's been around maybe millions of years that knows how to protect you and has nothing to do with sadness, and you could protect yourself that way without having to re-traumatise yourself feeling sad, would it be okay? And would it be okay to let go of your sadness?
Absolutely.
Cool. Alright. So can I get you to go and close your eyes? Oh, by the way, actually open your eyes for a minute. If I asked you, where's your future? Where might you point? You thought about that, right? Right there, okay. If I asked you where your past is, where might you point? Behind you, lovely. Alright. You know I'm in business when I put the blazer on. Alright. So what I want you to do now, go ahead and close your eyes. What I want you to do, you're not scared of heights, are you? This is just in your mind, it's not real heights, you're okay. Always ask people that, because you never know. You could be doing something of height, and this could be someone that has a terrible fear of heights, but actually doing the process that you want to help them, re-traumatise them in a completely different area. So these little subtleties, ask your clients these questions. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and you're going to float all the way back to the future. To position 2, which is just above the event, or any event that led to the event, looking down on that memory. Nod your head if you understand and accept. Very good. In actual fact, open your eyes. Can you remember now something that made you feel very, very sad? You close your eyes now. I don't need to know what it is, but can you bring it up inside your body? I always ask clients to do that because I want her to have an undeniable felt feeling that this shit's gone. Not like, oh, I'm angry, but you don't look angry. I want to access that neurology. So as you think of that thing now that made you feel incredibly sad, 1 to 10, how strong is that sadness now as you think about it? 6 or 7. Fair enough. So what I want you to do now is float above your timeline safely. Float all the way up in the air. and I'm going to count from 1 to 5. You go all the way back in time, like you're taking the DeLorean from Back to the Future, or a magic carpet, doesn't matter how you do it. Kids have great fun with this one. I'll count from 1 to 5. When my count reaches 5, you'll be above the event, looking down on the event. Get ready, keep that sadness now to be your bridge, to be your GPS, to be your guide, to take you all the way back in time now. 1, going back into the past. 2, further and further back. 3, further and further back, getting ready to get that root cause. 4, all the way back now. And 5, be in position 2. Above the event, looking down on the event. Be there now. In a moment, not just yet, but in a moment, I'm going to have you step into that event, in your body, looking through your own eyes. And it will be a few moments before it ever happens, just a few moments. You are safe, you are secure. Nod your head if you understand, accept. Get ready now, count from 1 to 3, and you'll be in that event, just a few moments before it happens. 1, 2, 3. Be in that event now, looking through your own eyes. Seeing what happened, feeling what happened, yet at the same time, fully safe, fully secure. Do you feel that sadness in this event? You do not. Is it okay to allow yourself to feel this sadness in this event? So go ahead and allow yourself. As I talk to the audience now, sometimes you'll get that from clients. They won't be able to feel it for the event, to which point it may not be the event, or it may be a defense mechanism because she doesn't want to go there. My gut was it was a defense mechanism. That's why I asked. Always ask your client. So as you're there now, you're safe, you're secure, allowing yourself to feel that feeling now. To the level of which you allow yourself to feel that now, to the level of which you can let that shit go. Can you feel that now? So now what I want you to do is float again to position 2, all the way up, looking down the event. The event is down below you. You're looking down. Position 2 is position where you make all the positive learnings. The learnings of which will allow you to understand this consciously and unconsciously and let go of that feeling, knowing that you never have to repeat that decision again. And as you look down on that event, I don't know, but I'm making a hallucination on some level, is that happened to a far younger version of you. Is that fair to say? Yes. And do you see that, and she was right to feel the way that she did, but if we put your mind, if we put your brain into that younger version of you now, all the experiences you've had since then as a grown-ass woman, is it possible you may have seen things a little bit differently and felt a little bit differently? Fair to say? So take all the time you need to preserve the positive learners of which will allow you to let go of this once and for all. Stored deep in your unconscious mind, always there, always learning, always educating you. And when that's done, just give me a big head nod and let me know. So what I want you to do now, so at the moment I'll count from 1 to 3, my count reaches 3, you will be in position 1, which is above the event, at least 15 minutes before this event, or any event that led to this event ever happened, looking towards now. Nod your head if you understand it. So 1, 2, 3. Position 3. At least 15 minutes before this event, or any event that led to this event, looking towards now. High enough up, far enough back. High enough up, far enough back. High enough up, far enough back. Looking towards now. From this position now. Where's the sadness gone now? Is there any left, or has it all gone now? You can be honest. It's gone? It's gone. It's been deleted. It's been unhooked now. But we need to test it. So in a moment, not just yet, in a moment, you go back to position 1, which is in the event, looking through your own eyes. You're safe, you're secure at all times. But you're going to be able to re-experience that memory without that emotion. Get ready, as I count from 1 to 3, you're going to be there looking for your own eyes. 1, 2, 3. Be there now. Position 1. In that event, retest it. Watch that event now in real time, right up to that point where you first felt that old feeling. Notice the event is how you thought it was before. However, you can't get that feeling anymore. It's gone, hasn't it? Kind of weird, isn't it? So look for it. But notice the harder you look for that sadness, the more you can't find it. It's just gone. The event's there, the learning's there. But the more you try and look for that sadness, you just can't find it. Try and look for it. Notice the harder you try and look for it, the more you can't find it. It can't touch you anymore. It's gone. That's right. Now come to position 2, above the event, looking down on the event. Any last learnings you need to get from that, here's your opportunity to do that. Because in a moment, you'll take all the time you need to flow from the past all the way back to now, only as quickly as to allow your unconscious mind to reevaluate, readjust in such a way that supports your life without that negativity anymore, free from that old toxic emotion. Take all the time you need, but remember your unconscious mind can do things fast. And when you do arrive at the now, keeping your eyes closed, just nod your head and let me know. Time for integration here. She can take all the time she needs to integrate that stuff. Sometimes people do it, thank you, rapidly like that. Sometimes it may take a couple of minutes. Give them time. Everyone's different. We want a future pace now. Into the future. NLPers go into the future to experience things different. So in a moment, I'd like for you to go to 3 separate times in the future. To things that haven't happened, because they can't happen, because it's in the future. To events that had things like this happen in the past would have caused you to feel that old way. But notice you can't feel that way anymore. Nod your head when you've got the first one. Enter that future memory. That's right. And again, being there now, you don't have to tell me too much information at all, doing it content free. You can get as personal as you want. But as you're there now, this new memory, how does that feel differently now, honestly? Feels free to make more choices, doesn't it? Wonderful. So in a minute, I'll click my fingers. You're going to go to another event in the future that had something like this happen in the past. It would cause you to feel the old way, but you won't be able to feel that way anymore. Get ready. Be there now. Another event in the future that had something like this happen in the past would cause you to feel the old way. Notice you can't now. Be there now. Have you got something? Be in your body, looking for your own eyes, in your own body, feeling that felt feeling. How does that feel differently now? More free in the body. And as you bring that more free in the body, that freedom of the mind, in a moment I'll click my fingers, you can go out to one more event in the future. People like freeze, so a lot of people have convinced us to freeze, so we're working with freeze. When I click my fingers, you can go to one more event in the future that had something like this happen in the past, but of course you to do the old thing, feel the old way. Notice it's different. 1, 2, 3. Be there now. Nod your head when you're there. And as you're there now, experiencing that now with freedom of mind and body now, taking that with you wherever you go. Certainly as you leave this chair in this room today. As you're there now, how does that feel differently?
Courageous and loving. Courage to love in any situation.
Courageous. Courage to love in any situation. Never miss an opportunity to anchor. Very good. In a moment, take all the time you need to come back to this very moment, bringing that courageousness with you, bringing that openness and freedom of mind and body into this very moment. And take all the time you need. And when you're back in this moment, feeling good, then and only then open your eyes. Integration going on there, transderivational searches, feeling it in your body. That's right. And I'm not rushing you, take all the time you need, in case you didn't hear me the first time. And you are back right now, then you can open your eyes. Thank you. Realise this round of applause is for you. How are you feeling?
Oh, feeling great.
Thank you. What was that experience like for you, honestly?
Well, that was a very sad moment when I was 2 years old. My dad was, he put me in the corner for something that I, 2 years old, didn't even understand. It made me very sad. But I did that change. I did understood that I, at 2 years old, couldn't make right decision, but now at this age I can make that change. Sadness was gone.
Weird, huh?
Yeah, weird it was, but sadness was also related to fear and anger.
Awesome, thank you.
They're all-
Give this lady a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. So traditionally, a client would come in, and if I'm doing a breakthrough experience with someone, one of the first things I would do, or the big tools I would use, would be this to release anger, sadness, fear, and guilt, because then it makes it more manageable. So in a perfect world, I would take someone through all of those emotions, because oftentimes what happens is we have sadness, we have anger. And anger is usually a protective mechanism, because anger is at a very, very high level operating negative emotion. Who here is familiar of the work from David Hawkins? Good versus evil, good versus bad, good, and calibrating different emotions. He calibrated different emotions using muscle testing, all the way from joy and happiness, all the way to sadness and despair. He got to work with some very famous, powerful people like the Dalai Lama, all the way to people that kill people in prison, serial killers, and all the way in between. And he calibrated their emotions and emotional frequencies to things. And what he noticed is anger, although it's a negative emotion and it's mindless, it's the highest, one of the highest level negative emotions that you can have, because when you're angry, you can get a lot of shit done. It's toxic, but you can still move and get stuff done. Whereas underneath that, sadness is often deliberating. It's very hard to get shit done when you're in a depressive episode. So there's a hierarchy of all emotions, even negative emotions. So oftentimes, in doing this for 22 years, anger will be there. But as soon as you release anger, oftentimes, people don't feel amazing. Because underneath it, like the Matrix or like an onion, there's sadness there. Because oftentimes, the anger's there to be protecting you from the sadness. So then we clear out sadness. And oftentimes after the sadness, for most people, not everyone, there'll be fear there. Fear of the future, fear of what can happen. Hence why we clear that. And then generally the last one would be guilt or shame. And most other negative emotions will derive from one of those four master negative emotions. However, sometimes people have got one that doesn't fit in the category, and we just clear that exactly the same way. I'm going to answer your question in just a moment. We're going to come into how you can use this for limiting decisions or negative emotions a little bit later on. But I want to give as many of you real experiences as possible today. So if I'm working with someone up here and you're choosing to do it on yourself, feel free to do that. But please remember my duty of care to whoever's here. So take care of yourself if you're using this in the classroom today. That makes sense. So this lady in the front.
Do you ask them if the anger's gone, then if there's anything left? And are they able to define it? Or does it sometimes take a while before they have done that shift to recognize what else is there? Yeah.
So remember today I'm demoing this, so it's not, if I've got a client, I might have them, if it's a normal session for an hour, if it's a breakthrough experience, it will be 4 hours, and I've got a big questionnaire before they come in. So I'm just giving you a taste of it today, because I was supposed to have 2 hours, 20 minutes today. So I had a 2 hour, 20 minute talk. But I had to cut it to 90 minutes because scheduling what happened here today. So I'm trying to get as much stuff as I can in this time. But good question. The question was, do you ask somebody if all the anger has gone? Give them time to process. Typically, yeah. Typically I will. But if you notice the question in the beginning is allow your unconscious mind to take you back to the first time you ever experienced this emotion and trust in the unconscious mind. Sometimes people will loop and they'll be above the event. And sometimes I'll say, is this the first event? And I'll be like, no. All right, I'll count from 1 to 5. You're going to go back before this event or anything that led to this event to go back. So sometimes that happens. Sometimes it will loop a few times to get that event. But when you get it again, it's like knocking down the dominoes and they all come falling down. Does that answer your question? Cool. Any more? Yeah?
I just have a question.
Sure.
I'm not a hypnotist, so my question's not exactly educated or knowledgeable.
That's okay.
Watching this lady go and do her session,
Yeah.
I don't remember my event. I don't even remember being like, I know I was there.
Yeah.
And I know how
Well, someone that looked like you was there.
I know how I felt.
The old you was there, weren't they? And as you left them behind with all the limitations, you can feel good now.
But I don't remember you talking to me, and I was watching and she was talking, and I don't remember that I was sitting there talking.
Yeah, do you know why?
Is that...
It's beautiful. You're a somnambulist. It means you're a hypnotist dream. It means I wish that I was like you. I wish that my clients were like you. I could give you a suggestion like that and your problem would be gone because you go there so viscerally. It's beautiful. It's good. It's amazing.
But does that... Because I felt like relief, like everything that I had, all the feelings, I felt great. And
I know.
I do feel great. I'm sorry, I'm not usually that...
I can see it. No, it's beautiful. It's good.
But does that affect, because I don't remember, does that
It means for someone like you, it's even more powerful. Because it's bypassed your conscious mind. And it's gone straight into your unconscious. So your reaction was amazing. How you processed it was amazing. It was great. It was good.
So it doesn't mean that my...
It means you're amazing and it's gone.
Okay.
Your question's about the lasting results.
Because I don't remember, I didn't know if my results are not going to be long-lasting because I don't remember it.
Oh, here's the thing, when you don't remember it's good. It's called a thing called amnesia in hypnosis. Because oftentimes what I'll do at the beginning of a first session, sorry, at the end of a first session with a client, is at the end the time's up and I'll tell them specifically, we're not going to talk about what we did at the end of the session, but we'll talk about it at the beginning of the next session, if there is a next session. Because us human beings have this innate ability of unpicking all the great change work that just happened and trying with the conscious mind logically to look back what happened and try and take it apart rather than having the effect and the experience of what happened, if that makes sense. So oftentimes I have to learn that most clients do that. It's a human condition. We're like, how could it have gone? I've had it for 30 years. How can it go that quick? Logically it doesn't. And then we re-traumatize ourselves, realize it's gone. However, any of these negative emotions, and really, I should really just call them unresourceful emotions, because they're not negative, is they're there to teach you something. And you'll be able to have any of them in the future, but it will be appropriate for the situation. Hence, if you go to a funeral of someone that passed away and I've removed all your sadness, it might not be appropriate to walk around like a joker like this. It might be completely inappropriate. It might be appropriate to feel sadness or something like that. So when it's appropriate for you to feel the unresourceful negative emotion, you'll have it. Equally, if you've got a crazy dog chasing after you and you're running away, it might be appropriate in that moment to feel a bit of fear and a bit of anxiety to make a little bit of pep in your step so you run a bit faster, you jump a little higher to keep you alive. It only becomes a problem when that event happened yesterday, 2 weeks ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 30 years ago. The event's happened, yet you're still re-traumatizing yourself with those feelings. That's when it becomes a problem. Does that make sense? So you'll be able to feel the whole cornucopia of these emotions in the future. You just won't have a backlog of 39 years, or however old you are. You'll just be able to react to that specific situation with the appropriate amount of that negative emotion. Does that make sense? Anyone got any fear or anxiety? That was the one that had the most hands up. Anyone got fear or anxiety that they want to get rid of right now? This lady right here. Come on down. Give her a round of applause. Hello, I'm Luke. What's your name? Nice to to meet you, Karen. Take a seat in the timeline Ph.D. hypnosis chair. How you doing? You having fun?
Not yet.
Yeah. Are you ready to have fun? Look at this already. I don't need to ask her if the fear or anxiety has been activated. Just look at your client. That's beautiful. That's great. That means the neurology inside her head is activated.
No.
You want to get rid of this shit once and for all?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Any good reason you need to hold on to this shit? All right. So we're going to get rid of this shit right now. Take a snapshot of how you think you look now and that shakiness you feel in your body. Because when you take a snapshot at the end today, it will be completely fucking different. Are you ready to play? Good. So what I want you to do is just close your eyes. I already know the answer to this question, but I'll do it anyway for teaching purposes. Can you remember a time or anything that made you feel abstract fear, anxiety, or something in the future, in fact, where you're just like, oh shit, no, panic? You got something like that? Yeah. Don't need to know what it is. Scale of 1 to 10, how strong is that now?
9.
It's a 9. All right, you know the deal. If I were to ask you where the future is, where might you point? Forward. And if I were to ask you where the past is, where might you point? Behind. Best thing about the past is you can leave it behind you. You ready to be brave and get rid of this stuff? We're doing a yard sale on anxiety, fear and panic today to get rid of this crap once and for all. You're not scared of heights, are you? Cool. This is only your imagination anyways. So I want you to imagine now floating above your timeline in a way that feels right for you, all the way up in the air. And in a moment, not just yet, in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and you're going to go all the way back using your magic carpet, using your superwoman cape, using your DeLorean time machine, all the way back. So the first time you ever felt fear in your life. Nod your head if you understand and accept. Get ready now. 1, go all the way back in time now. 2, flow further and further back. 3, almost there, almost ready to experience that root cause. 4, further and further back, getting ready to get into that event. 5, 1, go into that event right now, just before it happens. Just before it happened. You are safe. You are secure, you're protected. Just before it ever happened. Do you feel that fear in that event now? That's right, okay. Come up above the event, leave all that shit below you. You're above the event, you're leaving it below you. You're looking down on that event. Nod your head if you're in position 2. In position 2, it's amazing. This is the event where you get all the positive learnings, or any learnings whatsoever, the learnings of which will allow you to let go of this shit once and for all. The learnings of which will update your GPS, your iOS on your head, not on your cell phone, to update it now. Whatever there was to learn from this event, the learnings of which will allow you to let go. And as you look down on that event right now, I'm going to hallucinate for a moment, but it usually proves to be fruitful. Go step back on that event right now. I got you. Good. Are you in position 2, above the event? Do you notice that as you stay in position 2, above the event, looking down on the event, do you notice that the event probably happened to a younger version of you? Is that fair to say? And do you realise that the thinking that you did there that caused you to feel all this fear, panic, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, was the thinking of a far younger version of you? Is that fair to say? But do you realise now, if you put your brain as a mature, grown-up, strong woman into the brain of that younger version of you, that perhaps things would seem a little bit different? Is that fair to say? So what I want you to do now, not just yet, but in a moment I'll count from 1 to 3. And you're going to go to position 3, which is above the event, but far enough back into the past, at least 15 minutes before this event, or any event that could have led to this event, happened. And I want you to make sure you're looking towards now. Position 3, now. At least 15 minutes before the event, or any event that led to this event, that's taking care of the fear in the past. Gives them another opportunity to back the burner if they need to answer your question earlier. Make sure you're facing now. You're high enough up, you're far enough back. High enough up, far enough back. High enough up, far enough back until that just goes now. the feeling. And now I ask you, where's that fear gone now? Your solar plexus. Any good reason you need to hold on to that fear? So what I want you to do now is I want you to imagine going further back, higher up, further back, higher up, further back, until that feeling in your solar plexus just goes. Just nod your head when you can let that go. And you can keep going high enough up, far enough back while I'm talking. High enough up, far enough back. High enough up, far enough back till that thing just unhooks, till you let go. And you can keep doing that as I'm talking, understanding this. Oftentimes we think that if we hold on to fear or anxiety, it keeps us safe, it keeps us protected. But here's the interesting thing. If it was for that time and that moment, it would be a valid point. However, if you've been carrying it around after the event happened and you're no longer in that danger anymore, it's no longer safe. It's a bit like an event happened, like you were fired from a job, imagined, and you know you got your learning from it. You were fired from your job, you left, you cleared out your desk. However, your boss called you the next day and said, hey, I'm just calling to say you've been fired. You're like, well, I know, I don't need to give you that message anymore. I cleared out my desk yesterday. And you get on with your life. And then your boss calls you up the next day and says, hey, you're fired. You're like, I know, I cleared out my desk 2 days ago. Imagine if your boss keeps calling you 10 years, 20 years after the fact, now that you've got a new job in your life, you change your number. You block that number because you already got the learning from it. And you don't need to have those signals or calls anymore. That's right. And now making sure you're high enough up, far enough back, high enough up, far enough back. Now I ask you, where's the fear gone now? It's gone less, hasn't it? That's right. So what colour is that fear? First colour that comes into your mind. Blacky purple. And what kind of shape is it? First shape that comes into your mind. Goo. Alright. So what I'm going to get you to do in a moment is just open your eyes. Point to where that fear is inside your body right now. Good. Just notice this now. Just imagine, let your hand go. Just imagine now that I grabbed it. Just imagine that I grabbed that gooey black purple. Just imagine I started to grab all of it. Even that last little bit that's trying to hide there, that's been there. That's been that's protecting you, but it's causing you to these shitty feelings years after the event. Imagine that I get it all. Now you just corkscrew it out. More and more and more and more. All of it gone. Now, close your eyes. Open your eyes. What's your telephone number backwards? I don't really care what your telephone number is backwards. Close your eyes, go back to position 3. Where's the anger? Where's the anxiety or fear going now? But less. Good. What colour is that?
Still black.
Still black and purple. Open your eyes. Good. Point to it. It's there, right? Good. Imagine this now. I'm not going to pull it out now. Watch. Imagine now that I reached inside. And I got underneath it, and I started to lift up that goo, lift it up all the way, up your chest, to your collarbone, to your face. That's right, all the way up your face, to your nose, lifting up, pulling up, or even that last little bit of goo, that purple black goo that represents all that old shit, all of it gone, all the way gone. Now, open your eyes, close your eyes, open your eyes. What's your last name? I don't care what your last name is. Close your eyes. Position number 3. Now, position number 3. High enough up, far enough back. Where's that gone now? Just a little bit. Is there any good reason that you need to hold on to that little bit? You can say it, if you feel it. to position number 3 right now. If you could feel totally protected anywhere you go for the rest of your life, but you didn't have to feel the fear or anxiety, but you just listen to your gut that's been with you from birth, the gut that's been with you from evolution, perhaps millions and millions of years, that knows that if you hear a bang, you just jump back from that bang. You didn't need to think about it a moment ago, you just react. Or if you're crossing over a crossing, legally, correctly, the green light, and suddenly a car comes out of nowhere and you jump out of the way, you didn't need to think about that for a second before, a minute before, 10 years before. Your body knew how to keep you safe. Knowing that now, that you are safe, and that you are protected, because you're here right now. You can always keep this protection. The protection's your gut, listening to your gut. Because when you listen to your gut, not your heart, because sometimes we make emotional decisions that sometimes can get clouded. If you listen to your head, sometimes we over-intellectualize things. However, when you listen to your gut, it cuts through all the noise, all the bullshit, and it keeps you alive, and it keeps you safe. And as you imagine your gut, your heart, and your brain linking together now, as if there was a line, like a cable line, connecting them all. So your head always knows what you feel, and your head always knows what your gut instinct is at all times now. Knowing that's there to keep you safe. Put one of your hands on your tummy, where you feel your gut would be. That's right. Know whenever you need this to work for you, when it's just like, I get a feeling that I shouldn't go to this place, I shouldn't take this road, I shouldn't go on a date with this person, my gut. Realise it's your gut telling you, and the more you listen to your gut, the stronger and stronger and stronger it gets. It may have been like you, like most people, that we don't listen to our gut, so it gets quiet. Because there's all this other noise that's going on, but when your gut is now channeled up, connected up, cabled up to your heart and brain, that signal from your gut which knows, keep you safe. From that place now, from that place now, inside of this experience, now, where's your fear gone? So just a tiny bit left. I'm going to ask you now. Sometimes people will come in for something like pain. So it's old chronic pain. So something they've been suffering of for many, many, many years, not a new thing that's happened. And sometimes I won't take that pain away to a 0. Because when you take it away to a 0, sometimes they start to do silly things. Deadlift too heavy or sprint too hard. But when there's that 1 or half of 1 there, it just lets people know they can operate okay, not do anything silly, live a painless and suffer-free life. But it just reminds them to not do anything silly. If this is what this is for you, and you feel appropriate for a reason like that to keep it, I'm certainly not going to take it away. If you have a good reason. However, if you have no good reason, we're taking that shit away. So what does your gut tell you? A good reason. So could you have that half of 1, and live a life where you're protected from when you need to be protected? Yet this old fear, this old anxiety doesn't need to bleed into other areas of your life. Is that okay? And are you okay at a half? So what I want you to do now is take all the time you need to now. Float back to this very moment, only as quickly as you can allow your life to reevaluate itself in such a way that will support your new learnings, your new decisions, making you stronger, more courageous, always protected in this moment, listening to your gut. When you come back to this very moment, allow your eyes to open. please don't think that I am in any way, shape or form, because sometimes people don't hear what I say. So when you do come up back to the present moment, allow your eyes to open, but again, take all the time you need to. And realise this round of applause is for you. Does it have anything to do with being in front of like a room full of people, like on the stage, or fear?
No.
Okay.
My original fear?
Yeah, you don't need to tell me. I was just curious to ask that. Okay. So honestly, how does that feel differently? I know. Let's be honest. I know there's a tiny little bit left, but for some people, they feel they need to have it.
It's less, yeah.
I don't believe you.
What?
I don't believe you.
That it's less?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it
Is it? So when you sat up here earlier, what number was it?
is. 9.
So what's it now?
A half.
A half. A half of what? There we go. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Give a round of applause. If I had a little bit more time, I would have done more work with this lady. And you see, I brought in another technique right there called kinetic shift that you don't need to worry about, but I felt that she was in the middle of something, so I went to a different modality in that moment. I trusted my gut. But give it a little bit more time, I would have hit it with another 11 different moves or techniques that I had, but I'm almost out of my time. Do I need to be done, or can I get rid of someone's guilt? Alright, who here has some guilt or shame they want to get rid of? There is no guilt. There is no shame. So that lady in the back, okay, anyone different? If not, I'll work with you again. I just want to, all right, this gentleman, come on up. Give him a round of applause. Take a seat. What's your name again, Craig? John, hey, thank you, John. It's one of my magical balls. If anyone sees a ring down here, let me know. Don't steal it. I know you won't. You got it. It's down there. Ah, there you go. So I get rid of my. That's how I put my clients into hypnotic trance. Just let my ring shoot out, sleep, bang, go down. How you doing? You don't look like you have any guilt. You look like you live a guilt-free life.
What a joke.
What a joke. So you got some of this guilt thing you want to get rid of?
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, so you know, dude. Go ahead, close your eyes. Get in touch with your guilt. It is Sunday after all for our Christian followers right now. So you get in touch with your guilt. Go there. To the level at which you allow yourself to go there, to the level at which you can allow this shit to go now. Scale of 1 to 10. How strong is that guilt? Nine. I said 9, okay. Be brave. Use that as your thumbprint to take us all the way back in the past. Just before we do that, keep that 9 in your body. For now, if I were to ask you where your future is, where might you point, John? Thank you. And if I were to ask you where your past is, where might you point? Behind you, it's best left. Lovely. So in a moment, not just yet, but in a moment, then trust your unconscious mind. You're not scared of heights, are you? A little bit, alright, we're not really, but we're just doing imagination. That's alright for you to imagine being up in there, is it? Cool. Always asking everyone. John, in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When my count reaches 5, you'll be all the way back. The first time you ever experienced this thing called guilt, trust your unconscious mind. Get ready. 1, flowing all the way back. 2, to experience the first time you ever felt this thing called guilt. 3, all the way back. Far enough back. 4, almost getting ready to step into that moment, into that memory, getting ready to re-experience it. 5, going to position 1 now, inside the event, but just a couple of seconds before it happened. Looking through your own eyes, in the event, in your own body. Nod your head if you're in the event, position 1. Thank you. Staying in that event right now, just before, a moment before it happened. Where's that guilt now? Don't know. Okay. So now let it play until you start to experience some of that guilt. So let that memory play until you first start to experience that guilt in your body. That's right. Nod your head when you feel it. Thank you. Sometimes people are literal. I said a few moments before he felt it, he took it literally, so I had to play the movie on so we got to feel it. It can be as simple as that. Go to position 2, above the event, looking down on the event. Looking down on the event, leaving all that shit down there. Remember, this is the position of learning, the position to preserve all the positive learnings, the learnings of which will allow you to never make the same mistake again, which will allow you, almost like an orange, that you squeeze all the goodness out of it, you keep the stuff that you need, but that pulp that you no longer need, you can leave that shit behind. Is it fair to say that that person in that event, that memory, happened to a younger version of you? Fair to say? Fair bit younger, probably. And do you see that the thinking, the feeling there was not right or wrong, it just is. But that was the thinking and feeling of a far younger version of you. Is that fair to say? Yeah, certainly. So do you see that if you were to put your mind, your brain, into that version, that younger version of you, that perhaps you would see things, perhaps experience things a little bit different to what you did in that moment? Is that fair to say? I think so. You think so? Yeah. So what I want you to do now is take as much time as you need to preserve the positive learnings, the learnings which will allow you to let go of this shit once and for all. Store it deeply in your unconscious mind. Wisdom. Upgrading that iOS in your brain. When you're done with that, nod your head, let me know. Very, very good. Now I'm going to go to position 3. Which is before the event, or any event that led to this event, looking towards now, at least 15 minutes before the event, facing towards now, high enough up, far enough back, high enough up, far enough back, high enough up, far enough back. From this position now, where's that guilt gone now? Has it gone? Can you feel it?
I don't think so.
You don't think so, or you know so?
Oh, I can't get it.
You can't feel it. So what I want you to do, go a little bit higher up, go a little bit further back. High enough up, far enough back. High enough up, far enough back. Until even that little bit of doubt just unhooks. Let's go. Now. Making sure you're facing towards the now. From this position, where's that guilt gone now?
I have no idea.
No idea. So let's check it. Go into position 1. Right down in the event, looking through your own eyes, in that memory, in your body right now, re-experiencing the memory. And as you re-experience the memory, where's that old emotion gone now?
I have no idea.
Try and find it you cannot. Find the harder you try to look for it, you just can't find it anymore.
I think you're right.
Kind of weird. It's almost like you watch the Academy Awards when one of the stars goes to the restroom. They can't have a seat without someone sitting on it. So they have these people called seat warmers that come in and take the seat. So it always looks like there's people in the crowd. Once that seat's been taken, you can't feel it anymore. And as that seat's taken now by learning and understanding, you can't feel that old feeling for the past anymore. Come all the way to position 2, looking above the event. Take all the time you need to float back to now, the way that feels right for you, in such a way that your timeline reevaluates, realigns itself to support your new decisions, your new updated iOS in your mind. Take all the time you need. You're in no rush, but when you are back in this moment, just nod your head and let me know. Thank you. So let's test this stuff out. What I want you to do, that's right, close your eyes again. I want you to float into the future. to an unspecified time in the future, where an event happens, it's really likely to happen in the future. Had an event like this happened in the past, it will cause you to feel the old way. And notice how you feel different. Test it. Always test your work. Don't be scared to do that. Have you got something?
Yeah.
And as you're there now, don't need to know what it's about, but as you're there now, how does that feel differently now?
More resourceful.
More resourceful. And as you take those resources to another event in the future that had something like this happen in the past, will cause you to feel that old way, go to another event now in the future. Be there now. And notice how that feels differently now. Do you have another event?
Yeah.
How does that honestly feel differently now, looking through these eyes of resourcefulness? Rosie, there you go. And hey, you like threes, right? It's built into our neurology to like the number 3 and convince us we're doing NLP. Go to one more event, another event in the future that had something like this happen in the past will cause you to feel that old way. You nod your head when you have something. And as you're at this event, feeling resourceful, looking at it roseately, through these eyes, how does that feel differently now?
I feel a free moral agent, free to choose.
Free moral agent, free to choose. Nice. So all the time you need to come back to this moment, to this very chair, taking these changes with you. And when it feels right for you, you've integrated this both consciously and unconsciously. Then and only then, open your eyes. And realise this round of applause is for you. How do I feel, buddy?
Amazing.
Have you ever experienced anything like that before?
Don't know. Maybe I feel good right now.
You feel good right now. Good. And you're going to take these changes with you. Give him a round of applause. I'll wrap it up, but if you have any more questions, anyone got any questions? One here to the gentleman right there with the beautiful hair and the beautiful shirts. The Silver Devil. No, silver, it's not the Silver Devil, right?
That's one to know.
Yeah. Head and shoulders, anyways.
He's in the...
I'm not the devil, though I've worked for him from time to time. Yes?
So if your future is above you, past, future, then where would you go to?
Down.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So just go where the past.
Yeah, wherever your past is, there's no right or wrong way. It's just how you process time, and slightly is going to perhaps be different. So yeah, you imagine going down, and your future would be up.
So just go where they're directing you.
Yeah, go wherever they're. Rather than me saying, oh, well, your future has to be to your left, or your past has to be to your left, because mine is. It doesn't resonate with them. Whatever their operating system is, you work with that. Cool. This lady.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you remember all those things, all these words, and everything you did?
Been doing this a long time.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, I've just been doing it a long time and done it over and over again. You know, like the martial artist or the boxer that throws the jab all the time. I've just thrown it so many times that I can do it. But to begin with, I stumble with my words when I'm up here. But here's the thing, it happens all the time, but it doesn't matter. I'll always find my way back to where I need to be.
No magic.
No magic?
No magic.
Always magic.
Long time.
Long time, yeah. Well, you know what they say, like consistent practice, doing the right kind of practice over and over again. So that's it, it's just drilling it over and over again and working with lots of different people, get better at stuff. Shelley's here, and I need to wrap up. I've been Luke Michael Howard, clinical hypnotist. My website is LUKEnosisHypnosis. I have 2 clinics, one in Ottawa, one in Toronto. If you've got any questions, I will be around. And I'm running a 1-day timeline therapy training in the 2nd week of December, downtown Toronto. It will likely be a Saturday or a Sunday. If you're interested, come grab me up at the end. It's very practical timeline therapy, not a whole bunch of bullshit on theory. It's about getting into the trenches and giving you an experience of working with other people. If you're interested, come and grab me up. Otherwise, I've had fun.